And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough starts now.
All right, look who's here. Jacques Doucet in the house. Mike Scarborough, of course, TigerBait.com. Another edition of TigerBait Live. Busy week. You got SEC Media Days going on in Florida. And, of course, the Baton Rouge Regional Friday, LSU in Little Rock, 2 p.m. And we're going to talk about that and a lot more. LSU football camps crank up next week. So I think we're going to have a lot to discuss tonight on this show. And we're going to get to all your questions and comments. But welcome in, Jacques.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Give you the same fist bump I give Buddy every week.
Well, proud to be stepping in. Someone's calling you, by the way. You're vibrating right off the top
Yeah.
here.
Yep.
Good to be stepping in for Buddy Sanji. Buddy, a good friend of ours. Hadn't played golf with Buddy in a long time. Have to hit the links with him eventually. But yeah, I mean, we're into visited with Blake Dean yesterday, the LSU baseball great, and he said it very well and very poignantly. No matter how good your record is this time of year, your season will be defined by what you do over the next 2 weeks. Did you make it to Omaha or not? And so we'll see what happens with that.
A lot of people looking at the field and who drew what in their brackets, and a lot of people feel LSU has an easy road or the easiest road or one of the easiest roads to Omaha. I don't know that I agree with that, but I tend to think, having seen Dallas Baptist and looking at Rhode Island and Little Rock, you're probably I don't know, there's a whole lot where you're overly nervous. You still got to get it done, but it's going to be real interesting to see who ends up pitching in what order.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two teams that appear to be a bit in over their skis, right? I mean, Little Rock and Rhode Island stepping out in front of 10, 11, 12,000 fans if they're trying to beat LSU. I mean, obviously, Little Rock is the team LSU's playing on Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been pouring in Baton Rouge. I think the rain is supposed to be letting up as we go into the weekend. But this is that time of year where we know that even if it's not raining, we could be sitting there in sunshine and a rain delay or a lightning delay or whatever. But, yeah, I think that, LSU obviously played Dallas Baptist during the year. That was a nice event they did in a professional ballpark. They did that in Arlington, I believe. LSU won that game 7-3, and the super regional you're paired up with. I think a lot of people feel favorably about LSU, beating Clemson and Alec Box, or say if it's deja vu and Kentucky comes here for a super regional like they did 2 years ago. Yeah, I think LSU got a pretty good draw. Nothing this year is easy. Your favorite topic, LSU softball. I think that they would have liked to have been rewarded a little bit like this for their RPI, but obviously they didn't play as well down the stretch and win as many games as they needed to. But that was an interesting topic. But J.R. Teagues, obviously he's the chair, right, of the NCAA committee.
Southeastern?
Yeah, very solid baseball coach for the Southeastern Lions. He's now their athletic director, and so LSU gets the sixth spot.
Well, maybe if you keep playing in Hammond a game every year, you'll get a favorable
You talking about softball?
Baseball.
Oh, baseball, yeah. Well, I think they went there 2 years in a row in 23 and 24, if I'm not mistaken. 23, that's when I got food poisoning. I ate some bad jambalaya in Hammond that night. I got punished for being a grumpy old man and getting irritated with the kids. They had us on the field after the game doing the post game, and the kids were throwing the ball and it kept hitting us. And eventually I grabbed the ball and I threw it over my shoulder. So I got food poisoning.
I will tell you this from years of eating stadium jambalaya. And of course, I'm going to create a war with the folks in Ascension, with Santa Ma and East Ascension. But guess who beats them all? The Pastalaya at Catholic Point Capee. That is the best stadium jambalaya / pastalaya.
Up in New Roads.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Pastalaya. Yeah. We just had the jambalaya festival this past week in Gonzales. Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Mike, because depending on what happens this postseason, Jay Johnson and company will either be going to Omaha for the second time in 3 years, or he will have only gone to Omaha once in his first 4 years as the LSU head coach. Now, I'm not trying to put some sort of pressure on Jay Johnson, or, I think he's the best guy for the job, and he's going to be here a long time. He's young, and no one's going to work harder or recruit harder than that guy.
You probably have the number on the top of your head, and because I've been meaning to go look it up for a couple of days. When LSU hosts a super regional, what is the percentage of getting to Omaha? It's got to be like 85%.
The only times they've lost were to Stony Brook in 2012. That was the shocker. And then they also got shocked by Coastal Carolina in 2016, who went on to win a national
Skip Bertman's last
championship.
Was that a regional to Tulane?
Skip Bertman was 1-2 in the super regional format. He got beat by Alabama on the road in 99. They beat UCLA at home in 2000, and then they lost at Tulane in 01.
All right. Yeah.
But the history, I think if you take a look at the history.
That wasn't at home, though. Yeah.
To Zephyr.
But when you get a super at home, the winning percentage
pretty high. I mean, you had like I said, the two you lost were 12 and 16. Bertman didn't lose one. Smoke did not play a super. Well, he was 2-0 in supers. They beat Baylor one year, and they beat. I'm trying to think of it. A&M, Texas A&M. I think those were the 2 times Smoke went. So he was 2-0 at home. So yeah, it's pretty high. Maneri went to the World Series 5 times at LSU. Right. So he was 5-2 at home.
Right. So it's a matter of, you can count only a couple occasions where when you hosted the super regional that you didn't win it.
Right. The Stony Brook Shocker.
Yeah.
And Coastal Carolina. But to further reiterate your point, okay, so LSU in 1989, one of the most famous things in LSU baseball history, they go to A&M, who was 45-5, and beat them twice. I think
on a Monday.
Yeah, I think it carried over late Sunday night. I think that's right. Anyway, they beat them twice. I think that's the only time really LSU has gone on the road in a regional or a super regional and made it to Omaha. I mean, all the other times you think about Maneri, they went to UCLA that one time. His last year, they had the Tennessee Super Regional. Jay went to Hattiesburg his first year, went to Chapel Hill last year, didn't win those 2. So, yeah, it's kind of like when the Saints were up and running, it's like they're a different team at home than away.
Jay didn't need any left-handed pitching, so I didn't leave him any.
I was texting with Coach Maneri today. I don't want to ruin he may come in and chat with me. Look, Coach Maneri is like one of my favorite people ever, and I do impersonate him here and there. But one of my favorite stories is when they went to UCLA 2010, fighting to beat deadline. So the cab driver goes, he never heard of Jackie Robinson Stadium. So finally, the guy finds it, and Maneri goes, "Did you find the park all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Too bad the cab ride was $85. Well, too bad you spent $85 on the cab ride. You could have bought this park instead. So it was not it was like Parkview Baptist with palm trees out there at UCLA.
Look who chimes in, John Eads. And guess what he says? Mike, I've had the New Roads pastelaia. You're right. It's absolutely delicious.
John Eads has covered Catholic Point Capee football better than anybody out there. So he's definitely been up there a few times. Parker Jewell was one of our finalists for the high school football player of the year. So yeah, John's been up there. He was up there shooting their scrimmage in August. So he knows all about it.
All right. John Eads in the house. And of course, he's done a wonderful job for you guys covering baseball. He was in Hoover, and
he'll be covering them from this point forward.
Yeah.
Steve Schneider, who was my boss for 2 decades, was always great about that. You're
going to come in and say, "No, it's tournament time. It's mine now."
Yeah.
No,
not going to do that. That ain't right. So, you don't, the guy who was out there in February when it was 35 degrees shooting the midweek game at 10 o'clock at night, I'm not going to push him out of the way. Steve was always great about that.
Well, the thing about Eads, and he's watching, I'm going to give him a whole lot of attaboys about it. And I've mentioned it several times. I think I even mentioned on Buddy's show last week. For a guy to come from the North, where college baseball isn't anything, he really has taken to college baseball and enjoys covering that beat, and he does a really good job.
The preseason, I think he went to every single scrimmage, purple and gold game, all that stuff. I mean, in the past, we try to get out there here and there. It's in the middle. Well, in the fall, it's the middle of football season. And then in the spring, you got all your basketball stuff going on. But he went out there religiously, and certainly
people gobbled it up. I mean, he got a lot of hits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, his preseason reports got thousands of views. Fall camp stuff got thousands of views.
While we're all basically trying to catch up on Sunday after finishing up at the stadium late.
Well, I feel kind of
he's back out there again on Sunday for fall ball.
Well, the first game of the Arkansas series, after I've worked at Channel 9 now 24 years and are less than 2 years away from 50. When they announced the start time was going to be 10 o'clock that night, I said, you know what? I'm out of here. We'll record the game on television, and then I got to come back tomorrow and cover the next game. There's no doubt that John Eads would have been there at 1:30 in the morning doing post game if he had been there that night. But I made an executive decision not to be there at that time.
Yeah.
So.
All right. If y'all enjoying the show, please hit the like button and share it out to your Facebook feed. Hit that share button. Text the link out to your fellow LSU fans. And, of course, this show each and every week is brought to our big sponsor, and that's Pride Roofing, the official roofing company of TigerBait.com. And so, let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer of TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
Pretty good so far.
All right. There you go. Pride Roofing, 855-PRIDE-16 for your free roof inspection. Say TigerBait, and you're going to get TigerBait Premium free for a year. They foot the bill, again, anywhere in Southeast Louisiana. Brand new location here in Baton Rouge, home in New Orleans, Mandeville, Covington, Madisonville, all the way down to Thibodaux and Houma. They've got you covered with Pride Roofing, and they'll beat anybody's bid. If you got it on the company letterhead, by $150. And again, say TigerBait when you call Pride Roofing. All right, let's dive into some comments, Jacques. We got a lot of people in the house.
All right.
Fire 3449 says hit the like button. Absolutely. Roger Ramjet, hey, Mike and Jacques, good to be with you. Always enjoy the show. Man, what about this? LSU Shreveport baseball, they're 56-0.
I heard you and Sanji talking about that last week.
Fire gives us an update each week, and it's like, and I brought it up with Kendall a few times. That's insane. I don't care what level of baseball is. It's NAIA, but they're 56-0.
Never heard of anything like that. I mean, even your LSU Eunices, who have been powerhouses and won national championships like crazy. I mean, you can't even try to do something like that. I mean, if you said, hey, let's go 56-0, I mean, it's impossible. And they're doing it.
I don't know the lay of the land. I don't know nothing, but if you tell me a team's 56-0, I think the head coach might be on some athletics director's list to at least talk to.
I'd like to go up and do a story on them, actually. I mean, that'd be 8 hours of driving to Shreveport and back, but definitely is it's getting somewhat slow this time of year. Right now, we're kind of in bat and ball season. It's like we're hoping that LSU baseball takes us all the way to late June, because when they don't, it's the most quiet time of year from the end of LSU baseball to the start of Saints training camp, and that little, that month void.
That a couple of years ago when the baseball team won the title and the women's basketball team, that was the greatest short summer we ever had, where you had the parades and the festivities and all the stuff, the aftermath, and it just seemed like we were just a few weeks away from football season. That
segment right there, I've said that's a career for a lot of local sportscasters to cover two national champions. Kim Mulkey and company win it in early April. Jay Johnson and the baseball Tigers are there in Omaha in late June. And by the time they did the celebration at Elliott Stadium and whatnot, the 4th of July was like a few days away. I mean, it just really ate up the summer. And then a week or two later, we were going to SEC football media days.
This is kind of in the weeds, but I'm going to ask you, because I know what my moods are like in the summer. I'm not going to say I'm in a deep depression, but people always say, and I know they say it to you, oh, it's football season, you must be busy. I think football season is the easiest time of year. Yeah. I think the summer is the worst because you feel like you're not doing something or you're missing something because there's not a whole lot to cover. And if there's an opportunity to cover something, you got to do it. But we know the spring, was particularly during spring football, when you got baseball, spring football, women's basketball, men's and women's, gymnastics, and everything. Y'all do softball, everything. That's the toughest time of year.
March is the busiest time of year. Like some people, the second football ends, So, it's getting quiet for you guys. Well, like you said, I mean, the high school basketball, the college basketball, the spring football for LSU, for us, the spring football for Southern. Gymnastics is a national championship winning program. It just goes on. Baseball starts, softball starts. It's just so much going on at the same time. It's pretty incredible. To your point, football season, when it starts, it gets pretty routine. Brian Kelly on Monday, players on Tuesday, coaches show Wednesday, some high school football Thursday, a lot of high school football Friday, college football Saturday, Saints Sunday, repeat the drill. So, when you're talking about basketball, there's games all over the slate. And so, yeah.
Dane Bergeron with a super chat says, Jacques, what is the deal with the cold bats? I was in Hoover for the A&M game. Our hitting needs to improve to make it to Omaha.
Well, there's one thing you want to take from Hoover. That's the pitching. The pitching was outstanding. There's one thing you want to leave in Hoover. That's the hitting. And so I believe the last 15 innings, they didn't score a single run. Then they got 2 hits.
So 2 days ago when Jay said, well, did you look at the scores at all the other games in the SEC tournament? The pitching ruled the day, except for one game?
Well, I heard him talk about how Ole Miss had shut everybody down. So LSU wasn't an exception.
So we're going to see how I think they come uncorked this weekend. Certainly Alex Box has something to do with it. But there's no doubt the way Jay summed it up is that facing the SEC, you're going to feel like you're playing 1AA teams the rest of the way.
Well, you've been playing a gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
And you won't be playing an SEC team this weekend. And so I think just from that outlook alone, I would hope and think that the bats will come alive and you'll score some runs. 13
SEC teams in the tournament, 8 hosting.
Look at softball. They got 5 of the 8, I think, in Oklahoma City or SEC teams. It's the same thing like LSU football sometimes. In SEC, maybe they kind of struggled, didn't do their best. They get in a bowl game against somebody and just blow them out, So
it's as good as Coastal Carolina is. I don't know how happy they are to have Florida there. I don't think Florida State's too happy to have Mississippi State in their regional. Texas A&M, of course, they didn't get their act together till late, and then they got their act together and then got swept by Missouri, and that just tanked everything for them. But let's say they would have gotten in and went somewhere. They could have done some damage. That's so when Jay said he thinks a team that didn't make it could win a national title, he was referring to A&M because had they gotten in somehow by the skin of their teeth, they could have. Well, it's A&M. I take that back. But you know what Ole Miss did a few years ago?
Yeah, Ole Miss was the last team in, right? Mike Bianco. The talk was if they would not have made the tournament, they would have fired him, and he wins the national title a month later or 3 weeks later, whatever. That's got to be one of the craziest stories ever.
Yep.
So, this sport more than any other. Every Monday the polls come out, and I put them on our sportscast where LSU's ranked, and then at the end of the day, it means really nothing. It's cliche, but it's true. Who's hot at the right time? Who plays at the right time? Who are your heroes? Right? 2 years ago, Ty Floyd was inconsistent. Can't count this guy. Thatcher Hurd was inconsistent. And then when you needed them, they rose to the occasion and came through. Nate Ackenhausen, right, had never started a game ever. You're in the losers bracket. Somebody's got to go out there. If he would have gone out there and given up 5 runs in the first inning, LSU's out and they're not the national champs. Instead, he pitches 6 innings of shutout ball or whatever. And those are the kind of heroes you need.
Absolutely. Dr. John Sibley Butler in the house with a super chat. Is UCLA the best team outside the SEC footprint that could take it all into Omaha? What about the University of Washington? Can the Tigers ride the pitch in the title? From what I know and talking to Kendall and reading D1 baseball and certainly those teams are good, but I just think it's going to be SEC and
I'm going to be a pretty worthless guest, buddy, on that regard.
You got Oregon and Oregon State hosting regionals, and but it's not like it's so heavy out west. It's all southeast. Look at the Big Ten. No host sites. If you chart it all on a map, there's nothing above what There's nothing in the Northeast. There's nothing in the Central. It's all South and a couple out West, and that's it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see those regionals at Oregon State and Oregon. People are wearing coats, and it's like 50 degrees over there. It's just so different.
Did you go to any of those in Corvallis?
I did not. I've never been up there. I made that, like I said, I made that UCLA trip. That was an eye-opening experience to have a regional at a park that was a 2,500 capacity or something. Jim Hawthorne and Bill Franquez were doing the play-by-play at like a picnic table outside the press box because there was no room for them. There was a farmer's market going on over the left field wall. They're selling fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. The sports page, Los Angeles, the LSU UCLA game was like on page 9 or 10. Didn't even have a photo with it. The Lakers were in the NBA Finals at the time, so that was all the stealing the headlines. So we forget because we're in it here that LSU baseball, is so big and so much media attention, so much fan. But I think there was some poll or something. 80% of the college baseball teams play in front.
I'm going to tell you this:
300 fans or less.
I paid. Having been on a network, I have friends that run websites all over every market. So I reached out to somebody to get them to film Jay Johnson post game at South Carolina a few weeks ago, and they're in, all good. Ninth inning, when they realize they're going to win the first game, I've got to go cover the lock. They weren't going to cover Paul until they realized they were going to win.
So if they lose, they don't cover,
and they just do it down on the field. They don't do anything. So it's.
That's the way Maneri did it at LSU, though, right? Regular season games, we'd interview him on the field after the game.
Yeah,
and the players.
But
now they do it in the inside.
So yeah, but they don't have the media pressure, the amount of media. I say media pressure, the amount of media that cover.
They don't have the demand. There's not, the South Carolina fan base is not interested to hear what Coach Maneri has to say after a loss, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I remember when LSU played Clemson for the national championship, and they held a media day at Clemson, and there was nobody there.
In football, you talking about?
Yeah, for football.
The 2019?
Yeah, and they had them like in a room like we used to have the media days for football back in the old days where you could go kind of like from table to table.
Right.
What's the quarterback? Long blonde hair. For the Clemson.
My dad calls him long hair.
Hippie.
Yeah. God, I can't think. ATN was the running back.
Yeah. Well, anyways, he had a table and there was nobody interviewing him. I'm like, had there been a table like that for Burrow, for the media to talk to him, you wouldn't be able to see Joe Burrow.
I remember we interviewed Burrow at the Fiesta Bowl when LSU played Central Florida, and we were the only one like talking to him at one point. I said, man, things really change in a year.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Butler, thank you so much for that super chat. Yeah, it's
interesting. I think Brian Kelly was on the Paul Feinbaum show today, and Feinbaum made a comment. You have the toughest season openers. Is it, of anybody I know? Why is it every year you have the toughest season openers? And
because we're Jawsbury.
Yeah, what he inherited. I mean, Florida State, his first year was not ranked, but they were better than, I think they went 9-3. That they were better than what was expected.
Do you think? Because they all say it. They all say similar things. Kelly Zinn will say it. Purge will say it. Brian Kelly will say it. Woodward will say it. Well, that's who we are. We like those games. But do you think behind closed doors are like, man, should we really be doing these? Well, we should be doing them. But when we go out and talk publicly, make sure we say that this is who we are and we like these games.
Well, I joke with Verge.
No, nobody's gonna have any. Maybe we'll find something out 10 years from now.
Well, it used to be, I would hear, well, we don't want to play UL Monroe first game or some nobody. We want to play a big team. Yeah, let's go. And now you can't beat a big team. You're 0-5 in your last big teams. Mississippi State, UCLA, twice against Florida State, USC last year. So now this is, just off the top of my head, this is the toughest of all of them. Right? I mean, at Clemson, in Death Valley, I'm hearing they're going to be preseason number 1 or top 5 or something.
3 or 4 at minimum, at the least.
Hot, August 30th. your conditioning, all those things coming into
A
play.
top quarterback, something might be the number one guy in the draft.
Yeah. So this is the spot that LSU has not risen up in under Brian Kelly. The biggest win of Brian Kelly's tenure at LSU, going for 2, beating Alabama in Tiger Stadium 2022. The other big spots, they have not risen up. Alabama 2023 on the road, nope. Ole Miss 2023, nope. Last year, Texas A&M, big game, flopped. Alabama at home last year, flopped. I mean, I guess you could say any game that you don't win was a big game and you didn't rise up, but they have not risen to the occasion in these kind of games. And so if they can do that this time around, and if his roster is the best roster that he's had, which he said again today, then hey, you're out of the gate 1-0 in a Daytona 500 type game, a big one right out of the gate, and you got a chance to have a big year with a veteran quarterback. But if you lose again, the fans are really losing patience with starting 0-1.
Yeah. Look, it sets the tone. You win that one, and look, yeah, you can lose that one, but when do you really? At what point in the season do you have breathing room where the fans aren't all over your back because they're starting to maybe think, well, are they going to do it? Are they actually going to get in the playoffs? Because you got to go 10-2.
Yeah. Well, you had some 9-3 teams get in this year.
Yeah, I don't.
But I don't think the quality of the playoff, especially the opening round, was
at Alabama, in and at Oklahoma. That Oklahoma game is not going to be. Yeah, you blew them out, but you saw what they did to Alabama at home.
Yeah. I think 10-2.
They're going to be a lot improved.
So what you're saying is, if you lose to Clemson, you got to go 10-1 the rest of the way to feel safe about getting in.
Yeah.
With road games at Ole Miss, Alabama, Florida, obviously with this quarterback they've got, beat you last year. That's your SEC opener in Tiger Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
At Vanderbilt, South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean it's
those aren't gimmies.
Texas A&M comes to Tiger Stadium this year.
Home
Arkansas
team usually wins that one.
Comes to Tiger Stadium, so I think that I've talked to at least a few LSU fans in my neighborhood. They say, well, we're not going to the first game this year. We've been burned too many. Lucy has pulled the football away from us too many times to try to kick it again. So,
yeah, because those have not been cheap trips.
Yeah. Well, and in this case, you don't have that many tickets because it's not one of the neutral site where, like last year, there's 35,000 LSU fans there and USC's got 35,000. In this case, I think LSU gets an allotment of 3, 4, maybe 5,000 tickets tops, and they're sticking you up like Texas Longhorns did by the moon. So I don't know how many LSU fans are going to make it in that stadium. Might be a lot, but not my neighborhood. They're passing this time around. They are saying they're going to Nashville, T. Vanderbilt, because Nashville's an awesome city.
Everybody loves that trip.
It's a great city, man. Great food, music, obviously.
All right, let's talk about Dykes Electrical, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. If you need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. 200,000 square foot warehouse that you need built, they can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, they can wire that. Changing out a breaker, upgrading old lighting, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office, they can wire that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate. And please tell them that TigerBait sent you in. Huge LSU fans over at Dykes Electrical, a great Louisiana-owned company, and again, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. And here it is on the screen. Get over to Struby's, really one of the great steakhouses in Louisiana at a great price. Located at 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. USDA prime black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu, New York strips. They got a great dessert menu, dry aged pork chop, black truffle, lobster, pasta, redfish, duck, Louisiana, steak Diane. So go book your reservation online tonight at Strubys.com. You can see the whole menu there as well. And please tell the hostess or your waiter when you arrive that TigerBait sent you in, and that cowboy ribeye, again, on that screen, is my favorite and looks fantastic right now as I'm hungry.
Breaking news, folks. Mike Scarborough has reservations there for June the 18th. So he and the fiance are going to go see Ann Wilson, Nancy Wilson, and Hart at the River Center sing These Dreams as they hold hands and stare into each other's eyes.
I hear that song and it brings me back to my days washing dishes. It's Steak and Ale in high school. That song was always on in that restaurant.
Went #1 for 3 straight weeks, I think.
Yeah.
1986 or so.
Yep. All right.
Play Barracuda.
Let's see. I'm aging myself. A lot of people don't even know what Steak and Ale was.
Yeah, it had been a long time since I've seen one, but I remember them.
There was one on Lafayette. It was on Ambassador, and that became Oxford Street.
Ah, Oxford Street. Yeah. I remember
Which was
going.
the same identical menu, and yet Bennigan's next door.
Bennigan's. I met the guy that used to run the Bennigan's in Lafayette. We were reflecting back on St. Patty's Day.
Is that Matt Fontenot? He was a manager there.
This guy was talking about how they would rent the 10,000 square foot tent every year for the St. Patty's Day.
Yep. That was a huge party.
Oh, yeah. It was awesome.
All right. Let's see.
Go see Spank the Monkey.
Carl DeCat Dunn. Good evening, JD and Mike. Can't wait till Friday. John is a 5-star reporter. Glad Channel 9 has him for now. Oh, what is he, breaking news?
Carl's starting his own network, and it's his first
he's
hire.
Steal him away from you. Brad DeVig. Hey, Jacques, I really enjoy your Jacques Talk videos on YouTube. You need to get Buddy to do an episode.
Thank you, Brad. I've asked Buddy in the past, and he's passed on me so far. So maybe.
Yeah, but his excuse back in the day doesn't fly anymore. He used to say, "Oh, I'm a guy for radio only." Well, he comes in here. He's on video, so
that is true, and live too. By the way, my things are taped, so I could always go back and clean them up if there's some mistakes, or if he wants to say, "Hey, cut that out."
You need to ask him again. Buddy needs to be shamed into doing that. All right. Matt Green, good evening, gents. Y'all make a great team, great chemistry, almost 100 years of LSU fandom between the two of you. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Jacques and I go back, probably 25, 30 years.
I'm trying to think when I first met you. I'm not
late
sure.
90s. Did we ever meet in Lafayette, or we only?
I interned at TV10 in Lafayette in 1997. By that point, you were probably already up and running or doing something.
Oh, yeah. I've been going since 96.
Yeah. So maybe around that time we crossed paths or something. My first 2 years I worked in Alexandria, and then certainly when I started at Channel 9 in 01, we were doing interviews or doing stuff back then. Time flies.
He had do you have those tapes? Did you record those? Your AOC show?
I do have a box of VHS
Dude,
tapes.
you need to convert those to digital.
Man, the voice, I mean, not that I have a deep voice now, but the voice is a lot higher. The hair was gelled back. You used to get your pants starched.
What was the name of the show?
We spent a long time thinking of the title. The Doucet Begnaud Football Report.
I remember it. Yeah,
Taylor Begnaud.
I watched it.
The best friends growing up. He went to the oil field, a lot smarter than me. He's doing well. He's in Thailand right now. He's about to come back with his wife and family. But we were on Thursday nights. We called it Testosterone Thursday because
KN Open Channel.
AOC.
Was there equivalent here in Baton Rouge of that? Which was like
I
open
don't think so.
airwaves
I don't think there's a channel here where somebody can just go and do their own show.
But there had to have been back in the day.
Maybe so. I mean, I know there's that governmental channel, Channel 21 or whatever.
And so,
but yeah, we used to go on live. Judd Lorman, who became a big actor star on Seal, that Seal show on CBS. He did a 3-hour wrestling show every week. We're breaking copyright left and right. He's editing stuff off for Raw and all these networks. We're playing music. We got Van Halen or whatever we want to put on. Just breaking copyrights. Just totally breaking
pirate television.
Yeah, exactly. Piracy, baby.
Yeah, well, that was in that Saints line on that channel, which
Saints
was
line. Ken, Tiger, and Spider.
They always had call-in shows, and the calls that called in would always get them because there was no delay. And if the Saints lost, a lot of 4-letter words went out over the airwaves.
Rock Bros.
Yep, and you had my guy over at KPEL that did a show.
Talkmeisters.
There he is. Yes, man.
There was another show that was on there that made national headlines. I don't know if I should talk about it. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Here we go.
Where's Nurse Court? She's not watching?
She might be. Stephen Miller says, jumping in late, fellas, but what are your thoughts on spring SEC talks and playoff expansion? Need more teams or less teams or enough for now? Well, I like that Sankey got a little irritable the other day, and but you're talking to a guy right here who thinks it should go back to the BCS. The BCS always got it right.
Well, I think Coach Kelly today mentioned something about computers, getting computers involved, maybe a blend of computers and humans. And I don't know, but yeah, the BCS, I mean,
you're talking about going to 9 teams. You're talking about going to 16 team playoffs. I mean, what
if you go to a 16 team playoff, I mean, how many teams are going to be wanting to play in conference championship games?
You still have the SEC championship game in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
never going to go away.
If you're not a team that gets a bye, and you have a Jim Valvano NC State type of season in football, what do you have? 17 games.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the whole student athlete thing is going out the window a long time ago. But I mean, that was the thing that made college football great. No preseason games. You're in the pressure cooker right off the bat. You and I grew up on 11-game regular seasons. Back in the day, they would play 10. I remember the 1987 10-1-1 team was like the first team to win 10 games in forever, because that one game makes a big difference when you go from 10 to 11 to 12. But what's the talk about the SEC breaking away from everybody else and then combining with the Big Ten and then making a super conference? And
well, when those two kind of got on the same page and became like this, and said that they would be consulting with each other, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes less is more. I mean, like for the NFL, I did not like them going from 16 to 17 teams. They want to go games. They want to go to 18 games. It's like, God, you mean to tell me we're going to play 9 games and we're only halfway done?
Preston and probably some millennials out there and Gen Z thinks, oh, there's the old guy, but the BCS got it right. So I'm just soon go back to the BCS.
Yeah.
And there's Stephen Miller. Attaboy, Mike. It's a farce now. They're talking play-in games. It's just crazy. And in that case, you're really going to have to spend the money and
play in football
and have
games?
a roster of 105 scholarships and really do it.
Well, football.
And then that's even more money you've got to raise.
Football obviously is a physical game. It's not like basketball where you can play 2 games in 72 hours or whatever. I mean, you play one football game, you got to be off for a whole week to recoup and all that. So play in football games and stuff, whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here.
Better show. Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. Mike will discuss next week.
Where did Kenny Haynes have in here somewhere? There he is. Prediction for the regional series. Arkansas Little will be over in 7 innings. LSU will 10-run rule them. Will then beat DBU twice for a super regional matchup with either Clemson or West Virginia.
Sounds right on the nose to me. I think that sounds pretty good. The Sunday night game, by the way, the Sunday game is at 8:00 at night, in case you didn't see that. So,
oh boy. Okay.
You see that? 8:00 Sunday. So I know it's kind of summertime, but still it's a weeknight for people who got to go to work the next day and whatnot. So, yeah, you're going to be out there till by the time Jay steps to the post game, it could be 11:30 or so, midnight.
Absolutely. So I'll be at Alex Box till almost 1 a.m. Oh, that's great. All right.
Hope they don't lose. Then you got another game Monday.
You know what though? I'm actually I say that I'm really looking forward to it. I love
Postseason baseball.
Yes. And of course, Kenny sponsors our Batter Up show with Kendall Rogers. We'll be recording that tomorrow. And so there you go. Let's see. Dr. Butler with another comment. Tigers have not had the players to be outstanding in a while. Have to have outstanding players on offense and defense who are playmakers. I love the first game being tough. Talking about football.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the stuff I grew up on, the stuff we grew up on in the 80s, you would always open with Texas A&M when they were not an SEC team. That was always a real tough game to start. I don't really remember the games getting easy until the Donardo period. I think they started playing like Arkansas State or New Mexico State or some of those guys to start the year.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, the 88 non-conference schedule may go down as the toughest in LSU history. Miami at home, A&M to start the year. He played Tulane, no big deal. Ohio State on the road. I mean, can you imagine taking that on these days. That's pretty wild. Although the 2011 Les Miles and company opened with Oregon, top 5 team, and then had to go to West Virginia a few weeks later. That was a rough one.
Yeah. Let's see. I like the big game, but I think we would all be saying keep scheduling the big games if LSU was maybe 3-2 in the last 5.
And they haven't done the week 0 thing. I don't know if they could have done the week 0 thing. I mean, I've certainly heard people in the past say, move that Grambling game to week 0 or move that Nichols game to week 0. Play that first. Would that have made a difference or not? I don't know.
There's some SEC rules on that, like when can you do it? And what the situation is.
It's not as easy as some people think.
It's not.
But Verge has given the answer to your point earlier. Hey, we're LSU.
And that's what they all give. Which
and look, they just took on. They're going to take on SMU, right?
And I will say this: even though LSU has lost 5 in a row, and they're playing the toughest one for number 6, we'll see if they can break it. This losing streak, but people nationally do give LSU credit for continue to schedule these. But that's great and all. You're getting a little nice pat on the back, but what does that do for you in November when you're not in the playoffs and your head football coach is talking about getting a 10th win at a Texas bowl game? Well,
I mean, I've said about some of those games in the past, those easy games, they may make that week boring. And when we're sitting down, we're going to be breaking down matchups about LSU playing Northwestern State. But in 2019, when you go on the road and you play this, game against Texas that goes down to the wire in 100-degree temperatures and it's an emotional game and all that, you got guys hurt. That Northwestern game, although I think Northwestern led that game at halftime against the 2019 Tigers, but LSU beat them 65-17, I think. But that served its purpose. They rested guys recovered. It's a boring game. We'll get in and out of here, and it kind of almost serves as a bye with you playing a game. So those layups can serve a purpose. But yeah, you're talking about the opening game thing, and the 2019 Tigers played Georgia Southern, who was a good team, a good program, and they would run that offense, right? That was kind of people were kind of worried about, but they had no problem. So,
all right, y'all need to get over the official automobile dealership of TigerBait.com, Genesis of Lafayette, and look at that on your screen. 2.99 for the GV70 on a 2025 model for 60 months, or you can get 72 months for $399. And again, it's the premier luxury dealership. They offer the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. And so for a truly first-class automotive experience, it's Genesis of Lafayette, 6600 Johnson Street, which is on the way Jacques going to visit his parents. And they'll exceed your expectations with the quality of their sales team and their service department. Shop with them online at genesisoflafayette.com or call them at 877-856-2961 and tell them that TigerBait sent you in. Huge LSU fans. In fact, it was this time last year when I went over there and right in the middle of SEC tournament and was talking to Jaron and Blake Mesh and those guys over at Genesis of Lafayette. Before the missus bought her GV70, and she absolutely loves it.
To you, real quick, LSU administration, they want millions of viewers, and they good for their brand. They talk about the brand, and all that. That's big to them. So that's why they like these big openers, or that's why they keep talking about these big openers. And to your point about, softball, they don't like losing to in-state teams. That's bad for the brand. When you lose to Southeastern twice at home and UL Lafayette twice at home a couple years back. And so I think Paul Maneri tells a story about when he was paired with UL Lafayette in a super regional, and somebody high up in the LSU administration told him, you realize you cannot lose to these guys, right? You cannot lose to the Cajuns in a super regional. So those are the things that are bad for your brand.
Yeah, that hit a pinnacle, I guess, when Skip was still the coach and Robichaux with
that was smoke.
2002. Smoke in the front of our chest. What's on our chest, and
Aaron Hill threw the bat.
They fronted our dugout. What was it? They fronted our dugout. I remember the homer in Lafayette being a real ass about it.
Who are you talking about? Be
they,
nice.
They know who it is.
Yeah, 2002 regional, I think. Aaron Hill swung and his bat flew towards the Cajun dugout, and then Robo Show came out, and they didn't play each other.
That's when the break started.
Yeah, they didn't. LSU and the Cajuns didn't play each other in baseball till Maneri became the coach, like maybe 08, 09.
Mm-hmm.
So they took like a 6-year break or something like that.
Yeah.
And softball, they didn't play in the regular season either for a long time. And then Beth got on board with the Glasgow, I guess, or I don't know, the end of Low Teeth, maybe not. I don't think Low Teeth and then jive too well. But anyway, in football, they haven't played since 2009, right? Football and LSU and the Cajuns.
Yeah, Stephen Miller, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Anytime, any place, winner mentality. That's fine and all, but don't come in post game or if you lose an opener and you're not very happy that night or the following week on talk radio.
Here we are again.
Yeah,
that was
last year.
That was the.
Did you buy that?
A
lot of people,
because I'm the one that asked that question, and the question was I just asked him about. I think I said there were some heroes tonight whose efforts went for naught. John Emery, there were some guys that played really well and they lost. I forgot the two other I mentioned, Savion Jones maybe or Braden Swinson, I forgot. But he started, and here we are again. And so at the moment I was like, whoa, well.
Well, I knew that was going viral. I'm like,
oh yeah, of course. And you could see the LSU administration. I don't know, like that's not the kind of viral we want.
Can you do a Mookie impression yet? And if so, that would be what she calls clickbait.
Yeah. How about that ragtag group that was out there tonight? Like, geez, Coach, that article was written like a month ago. She didn't forget anything.
Oh no.
This up here is a steel trap.
No.
So
that's what I love about her, though.
Yeah. I remember her first year they played that game at the Cajuns, and she got mad at the end. I didn't realize what had happened. She was fussing at some players afterwards, and that post game I asked, well, what are you fussing about? Let me teach you something about basketball, Jacques, for 1 second. So she was mad. They were supposed to dribble out the clock, and I think they tried to score and drive in and score, and she got ticked about that. Good for her, though. That's what you teach.
I laugh because I've told Grant and some other. I think I told Gary Reedus this. It was one of the post games where she said, that's clickbait, and I know what your headline's going to be, and it really was. Like, she nailed what the headline was going to be, and she said it, and I'm like, that's actually what the headline was going to be. Like, she absolutely nailed it. And it's just, I was laughing back there.
The great ones can predict stuff. Like, real quick, Ryan Terrio came in last week, and I remember Ryan Terrio's last year in 2001. He gave a soundbite where he said, we got guys painting their toenails in the dugout. What the hell's going on here? They had taken some guys in who weren't like really part of the Skip culture of the past. And he said he went into Skip's office during the years like, Coach, what do we do? We this is your last year. We can't go out like this. Oh, Rhino, look, it's going to be okay. Okay. We're going to lose to Tulane in the Super, and you're going to have a great major league career. It's all good. That's exactly what happened. They lost to Tulane in the Super, and Ryan Terrio had a great major league career. So,
well, that's like Maneri. I've heard the story. Kenny Haynes was telling about Shimp and having a couple of beers. I've heard.
Ryan Schiff, actually, of all people, texted me today. Look, there he is. Read that name, Ryan Schiff.
Yeah, there you go.
There he is. We're supposed to. He's doing some. I guess he's doing a real estate.
Heard a story about him having a couple of beers and Maneri not liking that. They had a couple of beers the night before. And I think he had a home run to win the game the next night.
Well, Coach Maneri always made those guys stay to a high standard. Some people thought, like, come on, Coach, don't throw the guy off the team because he got DWI.
I remember back in the day, you couldn't go to the station or different places without seeing baseball players.
Yeah. Well, I think Skip had a different opinion on that. Ooh, they're kids. They drink beer and chase girls. That's what they do. Yeah. No curfews.
No. Mark asked, was it Brian Wilson painting his toenails?
I'm not sure, but
yeah, Stephen Miller, I'm with you. He says, the thing for me is I just want to see the team fully prepared for an opener. That's always been my deal. Jacques, is I've always felt like it looked like LSU had one less week of preparation in these openers.
Well, okay, real quick,
And it's not just special teams.
2020, the late great Mike Leach threw for 628 yards against Bo Pelin and a defense that refused to adjust. We know what happened. 2021, UCLA was thought to be the soft team from the West Coast. They punched LSU in the mouth. LSU was not ready that night. 22, that's Brian Kelly's first game. That's the closest game that they've lost in these openers. Extra point gets blocked, slow start. 23, it's a close game. After 3 quarters, LSU just totally flops in the 4th quarter. They get blown out by Florida State. And then last year, USC had some chances to separate the score earlier in the game. They don't. Penalties, they lose at the gun. So
Don't also want to have another season where we have at least every other week or multiple weeks in a row where people are questioning the strength and conditioning and posing the question, is LSU's offensive line a finesse offensive line?
Well, I think that's the biggest question on the team is the offensive line at this point.
Yeah.
Because all your guys got drafted, right? I mean, the Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, who am I leaving out? Dellinger, Garrett Dellinger. They all got drafted. DJ Chester's the only starter back, but they did get 2 guys out of the portal, and that's where it all starts up front. If you can't protect, can't run the ball, got to run the ball better. I mean, they were that's going to go hand in hand with Garrett Nussmeier's success this year.
All right, Alumni Hall. Look, if you're heading to the box, Super Region, you're going to be making the trip to Omaha. They've got all the greatest LSU gear. Get over to their fantastic store over in Perkins Row. They've got it all. They've got the youth jerseys in every color. So get over to Alumni Hall. They've got the Nike gear, Champion Johnny O, Peter Millar, and much more. Great store in Perkins Row. And the big deal here for you, my friends, I've got the code TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, in-store, online, and you'll get 10% off your purchase. And again, like I tell y'all each week, everything ships from the Baton Rouge store, so you're going to get it in a hurry. If it's on their website, there's a few items on there that are drop ship from like Cutter and Buck and stuff, but 99% of the stuff that's on their store, if it says in stock, it's going to ship to you from the Baton Rouge location. So use that code TigerBait, all one word. And orders over $99, you're going to get free shipping as well. And Capital City Grill, get over there for their great brunch. Sunday, if you're in town for the series, you're looking for a great brunch spot, go over to Capital City Grill. Fantastic brunch at 100 Lafayette Street. And you see that on the screen. The chicken and waffles is absolutely outstanding. Great sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pasta. But the brunch is from 11 to 2 on Sunday. And go to capitalcitygrill.net. You can see the full menu. Best carrot cake in Baton Rouge. Jacques, anything you want to say about wrapping up?
Red Rock and Blues coming up to support Louisiana military charities. We've started our softball team registration. That'll be late July at Oak Villa. And the Catering Reunion 3, which has been a big hit. Our friend Ben Cassio had that idea a few years back to get bands together that used to play the Catering before it burned down. We've got Allison Collins on the ticket this year. We've got Blueverse, we've got Werewolf, we got Amos Moses, all going to be at the Texas Club on August 9th. Those tickets are on sale right now, and tables as well for old people like us that need to sit down throughout the night. And it all goes to support your local Louisiana military charities. RedRockandBlue.com. Great sit down with Blake Dean yesterday. Great sit down with Ryan Terrio at our WAP YouTube page as part of Jacques Talk.
Well, that one is August 9th.
What did I say?
The one with Blueverse and
August 9th. Yeah,
that's a Saturday night. So
Saturday night, August 9th.
That's going to be a big one.
It will be.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Jacques for filling in for Buddy. He did it on late notice. And I got one here. Late question from Brad David Super Chat. Jacques, what is your funniest story covering Les Miles?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, probably one of the low points in my career was after the 2010 LSU Tennessee game, which LSU should have lost and won. That's the T-Bob snap and 13 men on the field and all that. So right when that happened, Jay Grimes, who was our weather guy, before I went on, said, "Give him hell, Jacques." And So I think I kind of was trying to be Richard Condon or something, or a shock jock going on there. I made a bunch of comments and, said they were going to be flipping cars in the parking lot if LSU wouldn't have won, which I should not have said.
Yeah, but I don't think you were the only one in that presser. He got a lot of pointed questions.
And I think on the Monday presser, I went in and I was, high on the pre-workout supplements and shaking. And I just basically told Les Miles that they won the game because of blind luck and you're ecstatic and the fans are pissed. And I just went on and just rambled. And he looked at me and he just gave me like one of those. And is that a question? And my email box blew up that day. A lot of people thanking me, but it was not the right thing to do.
But is that one where you get a phone call afterwards?
The LSU people, I apologize. And then they said that Coach Miles was in no mood for your apology. And then I think the next week is when they won that stupid game where they threw the ball over their shoulder and it bounced and they got the first down.
South Carolina?
Florida. They beat in the swamp, and Terrence Tolliver caught the touchdown from Jarrett Lee to end the game there. But funniest, it just wasn't a whole lot of. I mean, certainly I remember being up in the press box for the LSU Oregon game to start 2011, and you see this big wave of humanity run out, which is the LSU team, and they go that way, and there's one person running to the wrong sideline, and it was Les Miles. Who was running to the wrong sideline, and you finally realize, the other 120 people went that way. So he came back, and I think Alabama, he ran out and he fell down one time. His feet were up in the air, and I'm not here to goof on Les Miles. Guy won a lot of games, good football coach, and I think he's dealing with his share of health struggles from what I've heard, and wish him the best. But there was some crazy sound bites. 2011, when he said, when he was trying to say there was a throng of fans, and he said there was a thong of fans, and then people started giggling. He said, swimwear. That was another one.
Jacob Kutera.
Jacob
nonstop.
Kutera.
Arkansas.
Columbus Day. It's a day for people who sail to foreign
kiss them
lands.
on the mouth if it's a girl.
Yeah. If he would have said that today, I think we would have CNN and some other people would have had they would have had an issue.
Nancy Armour at USA Today would have been here.
it would have been a different story. But that was, a lot of people thought like, it must be great to cover Les Miles because they would just see these press conferences here and there. And I was like, well, most of the time he's not that animated. He doesn't want to say a whole lot. But I enjoyed covering him. Coach O was fun to cover. Nick Saban was not as fun because I was just getting into this business and he would chew me up and spit me out. That's when you didn't even raise your hand. You just like to shout your question out. Your voice would rise above everyone else's and you start getting nervous that he was going to embarrass you in front of everybody. Thank God Twitter and Facebook wasn't around in 2003 and 2004 when I was trying to cover Nick Saban.
Yeah, those were Lawton rooms and a whole different
fifth floor of the athletic building.
And those were catered lunches.
Yeah, we don't get food.
Jacques would get there early and eat enough for 4 days.
That's right. they would give you this little. They probably told like, look, these fat media guys, you don't let them pig out. You give them just a little couple pieces of lettuce, couple pieces of chicken, and they'll get by on that. Carrabba's.
Yes.
Mike Anderson's did it for a while.
Yeah.
Subway was the last one.
Yeah. Now we're all running our Mart afterwards because we're starving. All right, everybody. That was a great show. Thanks again for Jacques for being a part of it. And if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button on your way out and hit the subscribe button, notification bell. And I'll be back here with another one next week. Got Mediaville tomorrow at Alex Box. A lot's going to be posted here with Jay Johnson players as well as practice footage. And it's tournament time. Excited about that. So we're going to have loads of LSU baseball stuff here on our YouTube channel and on TigerBait.com. Go over there to subscribe as well. $1. You can try us out for our TigerBait Premium. Got multiple recruiting updates up on TigerBait today and more being posted tomorrow. So a lot going on at TigerBait.com. But all right, everybody. Good night. See y'all next week.
Thanks for having me.